I still remember the exact sound her chair made when it scraped the restaurant floor. Sharp, ugly, like something breaking that shouldn't break in public. My daughter is 6. Small hands, nervous smile, the kind of child who apologizes even when she hasn't done anything wrong. We had only just sat down when my mother looked at her, really looked at her, and decided she didn't belong. "This table's for family," she said coldly. Then she stood up, grabbed my daughter's chair, and pushed it back like she was removing a misplaced object. My daughter fell hard. Not dramatically. Not slowly. Just suddenly, like the world gave up holding her. The room went silent in that instant. Forks paused midair. Conversations died halfway through sentences. My father's eyes widened. My mother didn't even look concerned. She adjusted her napkin instead. I stood up immediately and picked my daughter up. She wasn't crying loudly. Just confused, holding onto my shirt like she didn't understand what she had done wrong. That's when I looked at my mother. And I said 5 words. Not loud. Not emotional. Just clear enough to cut through everything. The color drained from her face instantly. My father's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Because in that moment they both realized something simple. I wasn't going to let this go. My daughter buried her face in my shoulder, still trying to make sense of what had just happened. I could feel her breathing uneven, small fingers gripping my collar like it was the only stable thing left in the world. I didn't look away from my mother. She was already trying to regain control of the situation, straightening her posture, smoothing her voice, pretending nothing serious had happened. "She just lost her balance," my mother said lightly. "No need to make a scene." A scene. That word hit differently in a room full of people who had just watched a child fall. My father finally stood up halfway, then stopped like his body couldn't decide whether to obey his pride or his conscience. "Let's just sit down," he muttered weakly. It's fine." I gently set my daughter back into her chair. This time I pulled it closer myself. Slowly. Deliberately. Then I looked at both of them. "You touched her," I said calmly. My mother scoffed. I corrected her behavior. "This is a family table." I raised my hand slightly. Not aggressive. Just final. "She is family." Silence again. But this time it was different. Heavier. Because now they were starting to understand the mistake wasn't about manners. It was about who they thought deserved to exist at the table. And I wasn't done speaking yet. My daughter was still sitting perfectly still, like she was afraid the chair might reject her again. I placed my hand gently on her back. She flinched at first, then relaxed when she realized it was me. My mother let out a short laugh, sharp and forced. "You're overreacting," she said. "Children fall. It happens." I looked at her for a long moment. Not angry yet. Just measuring how far this had gone in her mind before she stopped seeing it as wrong. My father finally pulled out his chair and sat back down, but his hands were shaking slightly as he adjusted his glass. "Son," he said carefully, "let's not escalate this in public." That word again. Public. As if dignity mattered more than a child's tears. I leaned slightly closer to the table. "This isn't escalation," I said quietly. "This is correction." My mother's expression tightened. "Correction? I am her grandmother. I have every right to—" "No," I interrupted. The single word cut her off completely. For the first time she looked uncertain. My daughter tugged lightly on my sleeve. "Daddy, can we go home?" That simple question changed everything in me. Not anger. Decision. I nodded gently to her. "Soon," I said. Then I looked back at my parents. And what I said next wasn't loud. But it landed like something irreversible. The waiter had been standing a few steps away, frozen between duty and instinct, unsure whether to intervene or disappear. I gave him a small nod. "We're fine," I said calmly. He left immediately. Now it was just the 4 of us again, plus the weight of everything that had just happened. My mother crossed her arms. "If you're going to turn this into drama," she said tightly, "then maybe you shouldn't have brought her here in the first place." That sentence didn't land like insult. It landed like clarity. Because she genuinely believed what she was saying. My father cleared his throat. "Your mother didn't mean harm," he added quickly. She grew up with certain standards." Standards. I almost smiled at that. I looked at my daughter. She was watching all of us now, quietly, trying to understand which version of the world was real. The one where adults protect you. Or the one where they explain you away. I knelt beside her chair. "Are you hurt?" I asked softly. She shook her head. "Are you okay?" Pause. Then a small nod. That was enough. I stood up slowly. Then I looked at my mother again. And I said the words that finally changed the temperature of the entire room. My father stopped breathing halfway through hearing them. Because now, they understood I wasn't asking for respect. I was taking it. My mother's expression tightened the moment she realized I wasn't backing down. "This is ridiculous," she said sharply. "You're making it sound like I attacked her." My daughter flinched at the raised tone. I immediately shifted my body slightly so she was behind me, not in the line of sight. My father tried again, softer this time. "Let's just calm down and finish the meal. No need to ruin." "Ruin what?" I asked. That stopped him. I looked around the table. Perfect restaurant. Perfect lighting. Perfect family image my parents cared so much about. And a 6-year-old child sitting quietly like she was the problem in it. I exhaled slowly. "This table," I said, "is not about manners." My mother scoffed. "Then what is it about?" I turned to her fully now. And I spoke carefully so there was no misunderstanding. "It's about who you think deserves kindness." Silence dropped instantly. Even the background noise of the restaurant felt distant now. My father rubbed his forehead. "Son, please." But I wasn't looking at him anymore. I was looking at the woman who had pushed my child. "You didn't correct her," I said quietly. "You erased her." That word hit differently. My mother's confidence flickered for the first time. My daughter reached for my hand under the table. And I held it. Because now, the real conversation was finally beginning. My mother let out a sharp breath, like she was offended I had even used that tone with her. "Erased?" she repeated. "Don't be dramatic. She's not part of the immediate family line. That's just reality." My daughter's fingers tightened around mine instantly. That sentence did something the fall didn't. Because pain fades. But being dismissed sticks. My father looked uncomfortable now, shifting in his seat. "We didn't mean it like that," he said quickly, almost pleading with me to soften it. But I didn't soften anything. I had spent years learning when people use "we didn't mean it like that" as a shield instead of accountability. I leaned slightly forward. "Then explain it," I said calmly. My mother hesitated. For the first time there was no immediate answer ready. The silence stretched. She finally spoke, slower now. "We just didn't think it was necessary for her to be included in everything." I nodded once. That was the truth underneath all the words. Not cruelty on the surface. Just exclusion that had been normalized. I looked at my daughter. She wasn't crying anymore. Just watching. Learning. And that scared me more than anything else in that room. Because children don't just remember what happens. They remember what adults allow. I stood up slowly. And the entire table changed the moment I did. Because now, they realized I was done explaining. I gently pulled my daughter's chair a little closer to me, then stood behind her like a shield that didn't need to announce itself. My mother noticed the shift immediately. "You're being emotional," she said, trying to regain control. "This isn't how rational people handle." "Don't," I interrupted quietly. Not loud. Just final again. That word made her stop mid-sentence. My father looked between us, his voice lowering. "Let's not turn this into something permanent." But it already was. I looked at him for a long moment. "You both made a decision the moment you pushed her chair," I said. My daughter looked up at me. "Daddy, are we leaving?" I nodded. "Yes." My mother's eyes widened slightly. "You're leaving over this?" I turned to her slowly. "No," I said. "I'm leaving because you think this is just this." Silence hit the table again. But this time nobody tried to fill it. I picked up my daughter's small hand and gently helped her stand. She didn't hesitate now. Because something had changed. She believed me. My father finally spoke, voice strained. "You don't have to cut us off over one mistake." I stopped at the edge of the table. And I said the words that made everything irreversible. Not angry. Just certain. The restaurant felt different when I turned back one last time. Not louder. Just exposed. My mother was still sitting perfectly upright, but the confidence she walked in with was gone. My father looked like he was trying to hold together a moment that had already slipped out of his hands. My daughter stayed close to me, holding my hand with both of hers now. Small. Steady. Present. My mother spoke again, softer this time. "You're really going to walk out because of this?" I looked at her for a long second. "This," I said quietly, "was never about a chair." That landed heavier than anything else I had said. My father stood halfway, then stopped. "Please," he said, almost helpless now. "We can fix this." I shook my head once. "No," I replied. "You can understand it. That's different." My daughter looked up at me. "Are they mad at me?" That question. That was the real damage in the room. I knelt beside her. No, I said gently. They're learning. Then I stood up again. And before leaving, I said the words that finally broke the version of the night they wanted to believe in. My mother's face went pale instantly. My father didn't speak again. And we walked out together. Not in anger, but in clarity. Because some tables don't need arguments. They just need consequences.